Yes.
Yes.
Great. Okay,
Yes.
so
Harmony.
I think that we can start. Last time we had a problem with list of students.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm already logged in.
Okay, again, so last time we had a problem with students list. So today we will do the same lecture that we had last time. You have this lecture on your Edu portal. Andrew, please turn off your microphone. Or I will do it. Someone. Okay. First, maybe my name and surname. I am Klaudia Jakubowska. I have lectures with you and also with group number 10, but I don't know if group number 10 is here in Poland, but I have classes with you. So now maybe basic information and characteristic of the subject. Fundamentals of nursing is subject that includes 60 didactic hours of lectures, 30 hours you have on first semester, and 30 on the second semester. Classes on this semester, so I mean on first semester, you have 90 didactic hours with your teacher on the laboratory skills, 70 didactic hours you have on second semester, and also you have these classes on your laboratory skills. After that, after lectures and after classes, after 2 semesters, you have practical classes and it's 80 hours, and practical training 120 hours. Practical classes and practical training you will have on the hospital. So again, we have first semester and second semester, 30 hours online on the first, and 30 hours online on the second. We will finish this subject with tests and important information. Check if you can changes slides in this presentation by your own, please. Try if you, and please write on the chat if you can do it. Can you change slides, pages on this presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
You can. Okay, because on Edu portal I upload and attached test with 10 questions. Test from this lecture. And after every lecture, we will check answers, because I will use these questions for general tests of these lectures. Okay, so today, please download from EduPortal this lecture in PDF. Check these questions, and your work is find out what is the answer. Okay? Do you understand? Okay, so again, not here about the about the answers, not here. We will check after. For example, I will give you 40 minutes. You will read this this text or check this text, okay? And you will find the answers. And after 40 minutes, we will check if you have it. Again, maybe I will show you where is. I will try to share with you my screen. I hope that it is possible. Do you see my screen? Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. So here in EduPortal, you have this lecture 1, 10 questions, student version. Try to download this. Here. And look, you have 10 questions. Okay? And after, for example, 40 minutes, we will check if you have good answers. Why like that? I think that reading is boring for you. We have 8 a.m. So maybe it will be faster and easier if we do some exercise, okay? And these questions will show, I will show these questions on the general test. So I will use them. So when we will do it, you will have answers for finishing test. Okay, now again my presentation. Wait. Okay, again about the subject now. So you will have, you will get practical books I don't know from my portal doesn't have fundamentals of nursing. Okay, so I will try attached here this test, but I don't know if it's possible. Wait a second, because some of you have problem with EduPortal. Wait a second. Okay, you have it here. So again, practical books. I think that Monika Wróbel will give you practical books. It's very important. After every practical exercise on classes, on practical classes, on practical training, after that form of classes, you will have to check if your teacher, give you a signature that you pass a procedure. For example, you have already classes from fundamentals, yes? So, for example, your exercise is change a patient linen on, for example, make injection procedure. After passing this procedure, you have to give your practical book to your teacher, and your teacher makes signature that you pass this procedure. Okay, but about these practical books, you have to wait. I think that at the end of the first semester, you will get these books. Okay, I said that we have practical classes and practical training on the hospital. So next, what we have here on this presentation. So first of all, you have to know that we have few definitions of nursing. We have important in other countries. We have important nursing organizations. For example, International Council of Nurses, Royal College of Nursing, or American Nurses Association. So each organization has own nursing definition. You will check it and read it. here also I will attach definition by Virginia Henderson. Virginia Henderson is very important nurse. Very important nurse. So I think that her definition also may be important. So about nursing, here on this slide you have information about nursing and about healthcare sector. But it is very short information. What is healthcare sector? Okay, next. It was the basic information, and the most important thing from this lecture is history of nursing. So you have to find out about information about traditional nursing and also ancient history. You have here information about first Christian nurse, about first Muslim nurse. And here we have medieval Europe. So about medieval Europe, we have few questions on this test. So please check out if you have answers here. Next, after medieval Europe, we have early modern Europe. So in early modern Europe, we have especially Catholic Europe and also something about Protestantism. So also you have a few questions about this time that we have in history. Next, we have 19th century, and it's very, very important because it's about Florence Nightingale. And Florence Nightingale, we can say that Florence is mother of nursing. So she's very important person, and also Mary Seacole is very important because she's a teacher of Florence Nightingale. So please read it and find answers for questions that we have about Florence and this woman. So after this, my dears, we will check your answers that you find, and I will play and I will open a movie for you about Florence Nightingale, because if we are talking about nursing history, I think that most of information should be about Florence. She's very important for modern nursing. Why? You will see. So now I am giving you, I think, time 40-50 minutes. Okay, try to find out what we have important, what we have here, and try find answers for this for these 10 questions that we have here, and we will check if you have correct answers. Do you understand? Everything you have on your Edu portal if you need something. You write the answers on your papers, for example, not here, okay? Not on the chat. for me, it doesn't matter where you will write it, but not on the chat, okay? Okay, we have lots of students here, so may I ask you if you know answer for your friends, for your colleagues about, for example, where are the questions? Please write that that first you have questions on EduPortal. Second, you have questions on the chat. And third, you have 40 minutes for find the answers. So I will write it that questions. Think, or you need more time? We can check. Okay. So who wants to read first question? Don't be shy.
I guess I can read it.
Okay, please.
I can't seem to find the question. Just give me a minute.
First question was about medieval Europe and role in nursing.
Yes.
So, how do you think?
B.
Ivy, yes, and Kudzai. D, so you think that it's all answers are correct?
No.
B.
B, ma'am.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, B.
So religious.
B.
In medieval Europe, the nurse had a role religious because we had nuns, yes, and monks.
Yes.
I will show you this slide about. Mm, mm, mm. I think that it was. Here. They were religious communities with care provided by monks and nuns. Here on this slide we have this information, and also you have information that nuns and monks, they are caring about poor people also, right? No, that's all, because now we have normals and yes. So also here you have this information that nursing was a religious role for the nurse, and there was a little call for science. Nursing was a religious role for the nurse. Today we have modern nursing, and nursing means professionalist. In the medieval Europe, nursing was a religious role for the nurse. Okay, so it's answer number B. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, great.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
next question. Second question.
I will read it.
Okay.
The Catholics elites provided hospital services because of their theology of salvation that holds that faith accompanied by good works were the route to heaven.
Yes, exactly. They was thinking that if they are good, they go to the heaven. Yes, so it's answer number A, and we have it. We have this information here on this slide. The Catholic elites provided hospital services because of the theology of salvation that holds that faith accompanied by good works were the road to heaven. Okay, next, third question. So it's number A. Two, answer A. Now third question.
Read this one. Daughters of Charity of Saint Vincent de Paul were founded in France in 1633.
Yes, very good. Also on this slide we have this information. So a leadership role was taken by the Daughters of Charity of Saint Vincent de Paul, founded in France in 1633. Okay, we can go. Really, yes, someone is okay. You write it on the chat. Okay, we are going next. Fourth question. Who can read?
The Protestant reformers, led by Martin Luther, rejected the notion that A. Rich men could gain God's grace through good works and thereby escape purgatory by providing cash endowments to charitable institutions, as well as B. The poor patients earned grace and salvation through their suffering. Our answer for question number 4 is C.
Exactly, yes, very good. It's number C. So A and B is true, and you have this information on this slide. Yes, 4C. Very well. Number 5. During the Crimean War, the Grand Duchess Elena Pavlovna issued the call for women to join
The
Order of Exaltation of the Cross.
order of exaltation of the cross.
Yes, exactly. So here you have this Duchess, Duchess Elena Pavlovna. On the picture, you can see her. And the answer is the Order of Exaltation of the Cross. Exactly, 5. And number 6.
I'll read, ma'am. Who started modern nursing after the Crimean War? The answer is Florence Nightingale.
Yes, so very important information. As I said, Florence Nightingale is mother of modern nursing. Exactly. So 6A. Number 7.
Nightingale's recommendation built upon the successes of Mary Seacole.
Yes, exactly. So she was her mentor and teacher. And number 8.
The diaconate was revived in Germany in 1836.
Yes, exactly. So it's answer number B. Yes. Okay, number 9. Question number 9.
Nightingale arrived in Crimea in 1855, where she became known as the Lady with the Lamp.
Yes, exactly. And number 10.
Florence Nightingale began training for the first batch of nurses in 1860.
Yes, exactly. Yes, very good. Good work, really. So thank you. You have these answers, and keep them, please keep them, because I can use these questions for finishing tests, okay? That's why we are doing it today, because you will need these materials, I mean presentation, and also this question. I think that it will help you to pass test from lectures. When we will do this test after all lectures. Okay, so on the next lecture will be the same. I will give you materials and maybe more questions, for example, 30 or 40, and we will do it together, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now as like I said, I will take a list of the students. Give me a second. Okay, and I will show you this movie that you had on the Edu portal. I don't know if you know, but I attached a link to the YouTube, because here we have some information about Florence Nightingale, and it will be everything for today. So enjoy the movie. Wait, I have to share my screen with you. And also, I had a question for group number 10. Are you here? Maybe group number 10. No. Okay, because I know that I have classes with group number 10, and I am wondering if this group is here in Poland, because I want to start classes from fundamentals of nursing. No, we not done. Also a movie about Florence Nightingale. Do you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, so now, okay, so now this movie, and enjoy it.
Thank you.
Near Piccadilly Circus on Waterloo Place in the heart of London stands the Crimean War Memorial. It was built in 1861 and features honour with outstretched arms, standing above the statues of 3 guardsmen, cast in bronze from captured Russian cannons. Carved in the stonework on the side are the names of 3 famous Crimean battles, Elna, Inkerman and Sebastopol. The Crimean War marked a turning point in history. It introduced major changes in society and war operations. The war began over a seemingly minor and insignificant religious dispute. For years, Orthodox Christians, supported by Russia, and Roman Catholics, backed by France, had squabbled over access to the holy sites in Jerusalem and the Middle East under the control of the Muslim Ottoman Empire. Both France and Russia wanted to take charge of these sacred sites and be the defender of the Ottoman Christians. The losses on all sides were immense. At least 750,000 soldiers died, most through illness and disease, away from the battlefield. The French lost around 100,000 men, the British about 20,000, and the Russians well over 500,000. From the muddled, chaotic catastrophe of the Crimean War, one person emerged famous and loved. Not a general, not a soldier, but a woman. Her statue stands as part of the Crimean War Memorial alongside the 3 guardsmen. Her name, Florence Nightingale. This is her story. It will encourage you and inspire you. And maybe Florence Nightingale brings a message for us today. St Thomas's is one of the oldest hospitals in London, England. It's situated along the Thames in Southwark near London Bridge. St Thomas's Hospital has been providing relief to the sick and needy for over 900 years. Surgery was an extremely painful undertaking back then because there was no anesthesia. And it was risky because a barber performed it. And to make matters worse, there were no antiseptics. The old operating theatre of St Thomas's Hospital provides a chilling reminder of the realities of surgery before anaesthesia and antiseptics. It was built in 1822 in the attic of 300-year-old St Thomas's Church. It's the oldest surviving operating theatre in Europe. And the equipment, well, was to say the least, basic and scary, including saws and hammers. So much so that the patients were usually blindfolded before entering the room so they couldn't see the terrifying surgical equipment. But one of the biggest problems associated with surgery back then, and hospitals in general, was the lack of professional and properly trained nurses. One of the main differences between hospitals then and now are nurses. And nowhere is this more clearly seen than when you compare this old operating theatre and hospital with the new St Thomas's Hospital. Where would we be without nurses? Most of us arrived on planet Earth with their help. A nurse's face was one of the first we saw. And we've always retained a sense of respect and admiration for nurses. In fact, in survey after survey, nursing comes up as the most trusted healthcare profession of all. And if you or a loved one has spent time in a hospital, you'll certainly understand why. Nurses are teachers, advocates, caregivers, supporters and innovators. They are usually the ones who are there for our first breath and our last breath. Their presence and care not only heals and comforts, but also genuinely transforms lives. Nurses give up time that the rest of us take for granted, weekends, nights and family time, to work through grueling shift-based rosters, selflessly committed to their patients. And they do it because they really do care. As the saying goes, care for one person, that's love. Care for 100 people, that's nursing. Nurses make a difference. Too often, we take nurses for granted, and we forget that not too long ago, nursing as we know it didn't exist at all in hospitals and operating theatres like this. Those were dark days indeed, and nowhere was this more starkly evident than during the Crimean War. Let me take you there. In the 19th century, the great nations of Europe lined up against Russia. It was really just another power grab, ostensibly over religion. Who should control the sacred sites in Jerusalem and the Middle East? In the autumn of 1854, the Allies, the English, French and Turks, invaded the Crimean Peninsula. After securing a victory at the Battle of Alma, they went on to attack the vital Russian naval hub at Sevastopol. Soldiers on both sides were forced to battle through a brutal Russian winter under constant artillery bombardment. Many soldiers fell victim to what was then called trench madness and later shell shock. It would eventually take 11 months before a French assault forced the Russians to evacuate Sevastopol. A year later, after more sporadic fighting, the Russians finally admitted defeat. The Crimean War was hugely significant for a number of important reasons. The human cost.
Okay, I have to turn off your microphones. Oh, I have a ma'am on the timetable. Group number 4 doesn't have any fundamentals classes for the whole semester and was wondering if you can assist. Group 10 is not here. I don't know with who group number 4 have fundamentals, but if you are all here in Poland, I don't know if it's true. So please, group number 4, tell me, are you in Poland? But all of you, so I mean 8 students? Yes, all are in Poland. So I think that, okay. So I think that you can ask, or, you know, I will ask Monica. Give me a second. I will ask Monica Wrubel because she's coordinator of the English studies. So I will ask Monica and I will write you answer here. Okay, I will text you here on the chat. With who you have first and where you will when you will start your classes. You know, I have my microphone turned on. Do you hear well this movie?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Okay, thank you for the information. So I will ask Monica about this and I will write you here.
Cost of the war was immense. 20,000 British, 100,000 French, and well over 500,000 Russians died. The startling thing is that many of them didn't die in battle. Most of them actually died of disease and neglect. Florence Nightingale was born into a rich upper-class British family in 1820. She was named Florence after the city of her birth in Italy. And here's a piece of trivia. The name Florence had never been a woman's name before, but it became popular as a result of her impact on the world. What Florence went on to achieve in her life is all the more impressive when you consider how socially restrained women were in Victorian England. Women of Nightingale's high social class didn't attend university or have professional careers. Instead, their purpose in life was to marry and bear children. But Florence's father believed women should be educated, and he personally taught her Italian, Latin, Greek, philosophy, history, and most unusual of all for women of the time, writing and mathematics. Florence grew to be a tall and pretty girl Her life included many parties and much travel on the continent. At the age of 16, 2 young men fell head over heels in love with her and proposed marriage. She liked them both, but she wasn't ready to marry. The following year, a strange thing happened to her. She didn't consider herself to be particularly religious, but on February the 7th, 1837, at the age of 17, she felt that God spoke to her and called her to some future service. She wondered about what this might be, and from that moment, her life was changed for good. Young Florence stopped the constant socializing and the frivolous parties and started to look for opportunities to serve others. She wanted to prepare herself for whatever God was calling her to do. Florence started spending all her spare time visiting the poor in their cottages on her family estate and bringing food and medicine to the people who lived there. Florence was beginning to wonder whether helping the sick was what God wanted her to do. One day, a doctor and his wife visited the family home, and Florence asked the doctor whether he thought it unsuitable and unbecoming for a young Englishwoman to devote herself to works of charity in hospitals and elsewhere like the nuns. The doctor answered that it would indeed be considered highly unsuitable, but he still told her that she should follow her inspiration. And so Florence did just that. She decided to go and get some hands-on experience and training at a hospital run by a family friend. Florence's parents were shocked and horrified. This was entirely inappropriate for an upper-class woman. Hospitals in England back then were places of degradation and filth. In Victorian England, the stench in hospitals was so bad that it was normal for nurses to arrive drunk for work so they could get through the day. But Florence was determined. Her stubbornness, in addition to her intellect, was one of her key attributes. She got up before dawn every morning to do her own study by the light of an oil lamp. And then she decided to go to Germany to get practical experience. When Florence returned from Germany, her parents tried to get her to settle down decently, but they were confused and annoyed when Florence turned down yet another offer of marriage. Florence refused to consider a normal life. Instead, she traveled to Paris to serve in a hospital run by nuns. In due course, back in England, the Institution for the Care of Sick Gentlewomen in Distressed Circumstances needed a superintendent, and Florence was ideal for the job. So she returned to England. It was then in 1853 that the Crimean War erupted. The decision to go to war was met with enthusiastic support from the British public. Queen Victoria wrote to the King of Belgium, "The war is popular beyond belief." At the time, English military hospitals were a disgrace. Any wounded men sent there had almost no chance of recovery. To end up in a military hospital was virtually a death sentence. The English and French have always been great rivals, and when reports came back from the war that the French took better care of their wounded, the English government was stung into action. Sidney Herbert, the Secretary of War, created a new official position of Superintendent of Nursing for the military hospitals in Turkey, and then set about trying to search through all of England to find the best qualified person to fill the position. And the best person he could find was a young woman, Florence Nightingale. She was to go to the Crimea with the nurses of her choice and with total authority over nursing in the hospitals. Before this, no woman had ever entered a military hospital. But even then, Miss Nightingale's reputation was already such that her appointment was applauded by the public. Florence carefully selected the women to travel with her to Turkey, 40 in all. What they found when they arrived in Turkey was a total disaster. It was no wonder that so few of the wounded English soldiers ever made it back home. They found mouldy bread, scarce water, filth and overcrowding everywhere, no arrangements for hygiene, no bed sheets, no operating tables, and no medical supplies. The nurses themselves were allocated 5 rat-infested bedrooms and a single kitchen. Miss Nightingale quickly started requisitioning supplies, which was an unheard of power for a woman to have in terms of the military. The first thing she asked for were towels and soap. Then she started insisting that the clothes be washed and the floors scrubbed. She wasted no time in whipping the hospitals into shape. But right away, she started running into trouble. Some of the officers complained about her power. Some of the doctors also grumbled. How could this woman just arrive, pretend to know what needed to be done, and have more authority than they had? But there was one group of people who fully approved of her and supported what Miss Nightingale was doing. These were her patients, the wounded soldiers. They all but adored her because she did for them what no one else had done. They called her the Lady with the Lamp because at the end of each day when it got dark and other staff had retired for the night, Florence Nightingale would take her lamp and visit the wounded in the wards. She made sure they were comfortable and their injuries were tended to. The grateful soldiers spoke of kissing her very shadow as she passed. A report describing how she cared for the wounded was sent back to England. This is what it said.
When silence and darkness have settled upon those miles of prostrate sick, she may be observed alone, with a little lamp in her hand, making the solitary rounds.
One of the very lamps she used is on display at the Florence Nightingale Museum near the Houses of Parliament in London. The Turkish star lamp is a graphic reminder of her commitment and dedication to care for the sick and dying under difficult and trying circumstances. Despite the many obstacles, Florence Nightingale kept on working. It seemed that nothing could stand in her way when it came to caring for the wounded and the sick. The changes that Florence introduced reduced the death rate in the military hospitals from 42% to 2%. And even from the war zone, she started suggesting changes to legislation that would help the men. One example was the law said that hospitalized men had their pay cut since they weren't on the front lines anymore. Often these men ended up handicapped for life. Miss Nightingale wrote to Queen Victoria opposing these pay cuts, and the men's pay was restored. There are many other examples of legislation that she suggested or wrote, which was introduced to Parliament and subsequently passed. It had been a miserable war. Although the war had started with a huge wave of popular support, by the end of it, the English public were horrified and tired of it. But amid the devastation, Florence Nightingale emerged as a hero. As one biographer said, she had the country at her feet. Upon her return to England, Miss Nightingale was received by Queen Victoria, who gave her an inscribed diamond brooch as a token of her appreciation. Florence had returned to England, looking pale and gaunt, suffering from several sicknesses. But she had found her cause, something that she could devote her energy to and make a difference in the world. She had finally found what God had called her to do. Health and hygiene, and wounded soldiers in general, were neglected in the British Army. In other words, if you joined the army, you are overwhelmingly more likely to die from diseases due to poor hygiene and the maladministration of the hospitals than anything else. More soldiers were dying from hospital infections than from battlefield injuries. Florence managed to convince Queen Victoria that urgent reforms were needed. In fact, they became friends. The Queen would summon her to visit the palace and, amazingly, even made informal visits to Florence's home herself. In gratitude to Miss Nightingale for her work in Crimea, 70 prominent people of England established the Nightingale Fund, and she became its first administrator. One of the first things the fund did was to establish in 1860 a school for nurses at St Thomas's Hospital, which Miss Nightingale also supervised. The school still exists today. It's called the Florence Nightingale School of Nursing and Midwifery, and it's part of King's College, London. Although Florence remained ill, her health eventually improved somewhat. Still, she didn't stop working. During the night, she wrote books about how to run hospitals, care for the sick, and on nursing. And these books were translated into many languages around the world. Soon, however, another war broke out, the Franco-Prussian War. During the war, Florence worked with the National Society for the Aid to the Sick and Wounded, which was later called the Red Cross. After the war had ended, Jean-Henri Dunant said this:
"Though I'm known as the founder of the Red Cross, it is to an English woman that all the honor is due. What inspired me was the work of Florence Nightingale."
After this, Florence reduced her public work for a time to nurse first her dying father, then her dying mother, and then her dying sister. Florence herself lived on into old age, continuing to work and contribute, and everywhere she went, she was treated with respect and awe. She continued to write until her sight failed and her memory died. On August the 13th, 1910, she fell asleep around noon and did not awaken. In 1907, King Edward VII bestowed on her the Order of Merit, the first time ever that it had been given to a woman. Florence Nightingale also received many other awards and honours. One of the amazing things about her life is that she contributed so much and continued to work for the sick and poor, even though she herself spent long periods of time bedridden with illness. What was it that lay at the heart of Florence Nightingale's passion for healing the sick, helping the poor, and alleviating suffering wherever she found it? What was the motivating factor behind the way she transformed the care of sick in this world, and why she founded the modern profession of nursing? Well, Florence Nightingale was intensely personally devoted to Jesus Christ and his ideals of unconditional love and compassion. She believed that the work of her life was her response to the call of God on her life. Throughout her life, Florence always looked for a deeper and deeper experience with God, not through outward rituals and religious ceremonies, but through the transformation of her heart. Florence Nightingale treasured her Bible. And this is another possession she treasured, her prayer book. It's come all the way back to England via New Zealand and Australia, where it was taken by a close relative over 100 years ago. It carries her name and signature and is a reminder of the central role the Bible and prayer played in her life. In everything, Florence Nightingale tried to follow Jesus. When she became a nurse at 30 years of age, she noted that this was the age when Jesus had begun his ministry. She once told an assembly of nurses, "Christ is the author of our profession." It's fashionable today to forget how it is that we have come to enjoy all the advantages and blessings of our modern society and culture. It's easy to take nursing and nurses for granted. We forget that we enjoy the advantages we have because of the Christian roots of our society. It's tragic when we forget the importance of God and His Word, the Bible, in our lives. It was because Florence Nightingale made the Bible the very center of her life that she was able to excel and become the person she became and change our world forever. In those long, dreary nights during the war in Crimea, as Florence Nightingale did her rounds in the hospitals, she brought not just physical comfort, but spiritual comfort as well. Do you need that kind of spiritual comfort in your life? I'm talking about the comfort that only God can give. If you would like to experience the inner peace and happiness that God offers, please ask for it right now as we pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we all hunger for more in this life, and we're encouraged and inspired as we look at the lives of your heroes like Florence Nightingale. We admit that the weakness in our lives is because we have relied too much on ourselves instead of relying on you. We thank you because you have a plan for us and that it's a good plan. Please come into our lives and lead us back to your word, the Bible. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Florence Nightingale's guidebook for a life was the Bible. If you've enjoyed our program today, I'm inviting you to receive the free gift we have for all our viewers today. It's not one, but 2 Bible study guides to help you understand the Bible and God's plan for your life. In fact, the titles of our gifts to you today.
Okay, so about group number 4, yes, so about group number 4, Monica said me that she gave you some list of the subjects and teachers, and there you have information on this list with who you have your classes of fundamentals of nursing. About schedules, if you want to ask about something that it is common with schedules, you can ask there. Schedules. I want to make sure that this mail address is correct. Okay. So here you have email. You have an email address that you can use. If you have any questions about timetable, okay? And also about teacher, like I said, Monica said me that she gave you some table with subjects and names. So for today is everything. Thank you so much for your time and that you are here. Have a good day, and we are meeting, I think that after this long weekend.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We enjoyed the class.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
White Abasa.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Good day. Natasha, ukutaura uri pa speaker.
Sure. I can't mute my